Welcome back. It's the nightcap right here on Bearcat Journal. How do you do it, Aaron?
Which part? Welcome back.
There you go. We're back. It's been a little spotty this week between me in LA and Aaron, sometimes not having internet, sometimes not having power. But here we are, brought to you as always by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, and everything Galactic. Or make sure you the funnel cake fumes over here right next. It's a little sweet right next to me. Right as we got ready to record, Kelly and Kelsey both walked down to Venice Beach and got some funnel cakes for our final night in LA.
Why not?
So, yeah, Kelsey has powdered sugar. Is that whipped cream?
Mm-hmm.
Whipped cream, fruity pebbles. Like she's messing with the traditional like allure of a funnel cake with all the extras. Kelly just goes powdered sugar.
I was gonna say I don't even like. Some people do like the strawberries or like the chocolate or
Powdered sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
we're going. What?
I was just gonna say, as far as like power and internet being out and all that, that's the difference between a small town where you top out in like what, the 5 digits, maybe 6, maybe, and greater Cincinnati.
Yeah. It's not been a great week for you, but that's okay. We still love you. We're not mad.
I feel awful because you're like, Aaron, you're in charge. I'm out of here. And I'm like, cool, I got this. I've done my best.
Look, I'm not mad because it's given me an opportunity to completely disconnect. Like I've been on like online or on social media or whatever, probably 10%, maybe less than 10% of my normal usage. So it has been very much needed kind of escape from the work, the hustle and bustle. So I'm not mad at you because it's given me an excuse to go, I don't have to do anything. It's okay. I'm going to sit on the balcony with Kelly and people watch and have some beers or drink a little bourbon and
whatever's whatever, man.
Yeah. So as it were, I don't know anything that's gone on this week. Like I remember like Sunday, when we got here, I made all my calls and I had a lot of info on Sunday. I haven't done that really much the rest of the week. I have completely disconnected. So I'm going to let you drive the car for this one. If you have topics you would like me to elaborate on,
I have a couple.
Most of them will be right off. I'm Harry Mack of freestyle on sports takes right now.
So do you want to go in order of how they appeared on my timeline today, or do you want to go in?
Look, you're driving the car. I'm not Kelly. I don't sit in the passenger seat and tell you how to drive.
Let's go relevancy to Cincinnati, and we'll start most relevant.
Okay.
We'll start most relevant. Anthony Brown.
Yeah.
Did drop his top 5, I believe.
Top 6, I think. Is top 5 or 6, whatever.
I think his was top 5. I think Jermaine Matthews was top 6.
But yeah, top 5, whatever.
And Malik Elzy retweeted it. And then Antonio Brown retweeted his retweet.
So, do you know the significance of that?
Sure. I mean, they
No. I mean, do you know where it came from?
Which part? His top 5?
The Ohio State kids. The Ohio State just got a pair of 5-star receivers in back-to-back days, and they were like tweeted to each other like, "Let's go back-to-back." So this is imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Those two guys having some fun with that situation from last week, bringing it over into this week.
Were they allowed to do that, or did Ohio State trademark that?
They might. I think. Well, it takes a while.
3 years, right?
Yeah, it takes a while to trademark something. So
assholes.
We'll get to that, right?
Ugh.
We'll get to that. But I mean, how can it not be a good sign if you're Cincinnati? Like, I've said all along. I said Sunday. I think Cincinnati's in a great spot with both of those two guys. Got to get them across the finish line. I know Kentucky will not go down without a fight. How many times have we seen that over the years? So you got to, especially on Brown, you got to close this thing out. I like where they're at with Elsie if he doesn't take any more visits, and it doesn't seem like that will be the case. Hi.
Just working. No big deal.
Just working here. Just sit there and eat your funnel cake.
She's so used to you not working this week that just
right? She's just right here next to me.
Everything's gone out the window.
We've got this whole giant place.
I'm just disappointed that you finally turned your head because it kind of looked like you just had a do-rag on and that Chad in LA has just been completely wilding out.
Rocking the do-rag. I mean, win in Rome, right? Like as the saying goes. But I like where Cincinnati's at with Brown and Elsie. Am I ready to say it's like, am I ready to start putting out the thinking man and the eye emojis? Not quite yet.
Crystal balls.
Yeah, well, I don't use my crystal balls. But I think if you're Cincinnati, you're where you want to be right now, which is, I think, if not the front runner, right there neck and neck for both of those talented 4-star wide receivers.
Should be interesting to see what happens with those two guys for sure. The next thing of relevancy to Cincinnati, Tari Eason was drafted tonight, number 17 overall by the Houston Rockets. It comes as part of the James Harden trade when he moved from Houston to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn could have essentially had a Tari Eason, but from what I saw in Houston Twitter in a brief search, people are freaking out because Jabari Smith and now Tari Eason, you have two guys at the forward position. Their front court, a lot of people are saying they're now going to have elite defense, lockdown defense. And when you got two guys standing over or right around that 6'8" mark with wingspans over 7 foot, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it doesn't move the needle much for me because he's not here anymore.
Sure.
But I'm happy for Tari. He was a good kid. Like, I had no issues covering Tari whenever I had the chance to speak to him. He was soft-spoken. He was well-versed. Humble. He was a really good kid. So I'm really happy for Tari. I know it.
And Momster.
I didn't have any problems with her.
I'm happy for her.
I know a lot of people that did.
She got to see her baby boy get drafted in an awful green suit.
That's a bold choice. It's a bold choice.
Was that?
I'm happy for Tari. Like, unfortunately, it brings us back to that era, and it is a reality that he wasn't used properly. Like, there were talents, very clear, very evident talents that kid had that were not taken advantage of in his one season at Cincinnati. And I get why Cincinnati fans would be frustrated by that. Like, here's the crazy part about that. If you use Tari Eason right, there's a good chance that team wins multiple more games, and the narrative is completely different because they're not losing and they're not miserable, and that like things don't spiral the way that they did. But he wasn't used right. Like, all you had to do was watch LSU for 10 minutes and see him get a rebound, push the ball up the floor, and shoot a three or drop a dime to somebody for a dunk. Like,
and in the new NBA, they're saying that he can guard any of the 5 positions because you don't really have the bigs that you used to have playing the 5.
Yeah, I still wouldn't want him guarding the 5.
Sure, but you can potentially
he could. Like, if he had to switch onto a 5,
right.
And we saw he can shoot it, he can handle it, he can rebound. He'll have the work ethic. He's a good kid.
He's only going to get bigger. He's not even. Yeah. Is he 20 yet? Maybe just 20.
Yeah, he's 19 or 20. He's right in there. So happy for him. Like, I don't hold, like, Berg called me the other day, like last week, right before it was maybe. Actually, I think it was It was Saturday because I was trying to get some rest, knowing that I wasn't going to get to sleep really before we had to get up and go to the airport. And Berg called and he's like, bro, I didn't watch college basketball this year. So I just went down the Tari Eason rabbit hole. And what the hell? How was he that good? How did we not use him? How did we? I'm like, Berg, look, man, I'm on vacation.
We're not going to talk about a year that you missed.
Right.
LSU basketball.
He's like, you want me to write something about it? I'm like, do I want you to? Like, I'm not asking for it. Like, if you do, I'll publish it. But was I sitting around thinking, you know what? I need to write this Tari Eason story. No, I wasn't. I'm super happy for him. Good kid. Well, deserves what he's earned. I'm sure he'll be a name I track in the NBA, but as it pertains to Cincinnati, like, it didn't move the needle much for me.
Does Cincinnati get to claim him as much as Ohio State gets to claim Burrow?
Well,
Burrow has a degree from Ohio State, but he was not used, whereas Cincinnati used Tari, mismanaged him, and then he bounced before getting a degree.
But Burrow barely played. Like, how many snaps did he take at Ohio State?
I get, but he got a degree, which is one thing that the Ohio State faithful rest their hat on. Just curious. What this is not trying to get super deep into this question.
I would give the guy more credit that played more.
Okay.
Like, I would be furious with Ohio State's coaching staff for how they handled Joe Burrow. More than I would want to take credit for Joe Burrow. You left him on your bench when you had a generational talent, a generational leader at quarterback.
Left him on the bench long enough for him to get a degree.
And bounce.
Just saying.
And go win somebody else a natty.
While also putting up maybe the biggest
video game numbers.
Biggest season ever by a quarterback. What's happening? Fired. Grounded. On vacation.
You're sitting in the room at the Venetian all day.
The next topic, and this one we talked a little bit about kind of before we started this. So I'm very curious to see where this conversation goes. Arch Manning, he is going to be a Texas Longhorn. We already know how to respond to that, so we're good.
Horns down for life.
But with him coming in,
like we've been in the Big 12 for 20 years,
right?
Horns down for life, baby.
With him coming in, there is the potential of Cincinnati facing Texas, whether it be in Texas at College Station or whether that be here at Nippert. But we could potentially see Arch Manning. That said,
could potentially see Quinn Ewers.
That's the other name there. So this is where the conversation I want to get your thoughts on is, as it pertains to Cincinnati, is you have now Quinn Ewers, you have Arch Manning, both at Texas. I'm assuming, I feel like it's safely assuming, both with humongous NIL deals.
So I don't know that necessarily is true with Arch.
You think that he's going to go to anywhere without any type of NIL deal?
I'm not saying without any type of NIL deal. I'm just saying I don't think he's not in a situation where money is a driving factor, right? Like, he's more, they're more concerned, I would think, as a family with development because they have all of the money.
You also could make the argument that maybe he's out to make his own money as opposed to falling back on the family's money. So
sure, but is he looking? Wouldn't he be looking at that long term? The family didn't make money, off of a $500,000 deal in college. The family made money off of $100 million deals in the NFL.
I guess it's all kind of a moot point, only because the real question is between Arch and Quinn is you have two elite talents. And this is going to be a situation that you continue to run.
Two of only three quarterbacks that have ever been graded 1,000, 1.0. Right.
So that all said, you now run into a situation where there's no way both of these guys stay at Texas.
I don't know how you could, unless it's a situation. So here's what's a little bit different about this situation in particular. Quinn Ewers was class of 2021. Mm-hmm.
Early.
Arch is coming in class of 2023. So, in theory, Ewers has to stay in college until that 2023 season. And he could be the starter in 2023 while Arch sits. And then he goes to the NFL and Arch takes over as a redshirt freshman. Because remember, in college football, you have to stay in college for 3 years. Like, you have to. So if Arch sits for a year and then has 2 years as a starter to build his resume, that's plenty of time.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Quinn Ewers come in as a 17-year-old, like very, very young? So can you really think that he's going to be ready for the NFL at the ripe old age of at quarterback?
Well, you asked me a question. I'm answering. There's a scenario where Ewers plays this year and next year, goes to the NFL. Arch only has to sit behind him for 1 year and then gets to take over in 2024. That is the, I guess, what you would call maybe, I guess, the best case scenario. But what you're getting at is what becomes interesting as teams start loading up
elite
landing
talent
guys with NIL inducements. Because, like, we talked about Louisville earlier in the week. Take Louisville, for example. They've made it very clear that, like, Adidas is all in on helping them bring in this class that they're bringing in. That means immediately when this quarterback arrives, he's going to be expected to be the quarterback at Louisville, right? Like, freshman year, get him on the field. He's getting a shit ton of money.
Face of the franchise type stuff, really.
Yeah. Where I think it's interesting for a place like Texas, like, let's say Arch comes in and beats out Quinn Ewers for that starting spot. And now you have boosters at Texas that have paid a whole lot of money to get Quinn Ewers on campus.
To be part of the decision-making process.
And that money potentially is not going to mean a damn thing if he doesn't win that starting quarterback job. So that part of it is fascinating. Like, that's where I think a lot of this, especially at a place like Texas, like what have we talked about has been Texas' biggest problem for a decade now? Their boosters just won't get out of the way. The big money people want to make the decisions, and that handicaps the athletic department. It puts everybody in a bad spot. And now you're getting into that with NIL, where you're going to have, this guy paid $500,000 for this recruit. It's going to be, what it's going to be like? It's going to be like what our boy Jeff Howell was bitching about on Tuesday night, right? Yeah. That's my son, essentially, right? Like, I paid for him to be here. That's my son. My son needs to be on the field.
Right. I mean, it's a little different because you're talking about a 9-year-old in a 9-year-old league, but
I know it's a little different, Aaron. I know it's nuanced. But that's not to say, look, man, these boosters, bro, they don't take this shit lightly. Like, if they paid for a kid, they're going to want their kid to be on the field, just like he was little Jimmy that grew up in, bedroom 6 down the hall.
All that big oil and big tobacco money down there in Texas.
Right? So it's going to be fascinating. But you know what the expectation is? Arch Manning's going to walk in and be the starting quarterback at Texas the day that he arrives on campus.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't, personally.
Maybe. We'll see.
Does Quinn Ewers go find his third school? Time will tell.
What else you got?
I think those were the big ones. Did you say something earlier that we would talk about it later that I may be missing?
Oh,
we did hit that. Yeah, we kind of hit that.
It's so dumb. Who cares?
It's narcissistic. It's not going to mean really a damn thing. It's the fact that you fought for it for 3 years. I hope it cost them a shit ton in litigation for silly shit.
And really, like you said to me earlier, all it is the ability to put the on hats and T-shirts in front of Ohio State University.
And I think entirely too many people misunderstand what trademarking the word "the" really means because
Ohio State doesn't own the.
And I don't think it even goes further for any other type of Ohio State merchandise past hats and T-shirts.
Yeah. Does a hoodie count?
I don't know the answer to that because if it just says in the actual print hats and T-shirts, then it's just hats and T-shirts. But if you're putting it on a pencil, do you have to pay for?
Right. So I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the in Ohio State.
Right. I like to say "and" because it sets people off.
Well, I like to say "the"
instead of "the."
Right.
Because "the" is technically two E's, but English.
Sure. But that's why I say "the." Some of them that bothers. I think it's funny. Do I have to buy myself a souvenir while I'm here?
Here's why. 100%. I think this is why. You lived there.
Okay.
I don't think you have to buy a souvenir because you lived there. You're returning. It's a homecoming of sorts. Does anybody buy themselves something like that for homecoming? No.
Like Kelly and Kelsey have gotten a bunch of stuff. We saw Kelsey's Padres attire from yesterday, which that yellow Padres shirt was dope.
But the stuff like the brown hats are gross.
Yeah, she got a gray with the brown SD.
I can handle that, but the hats that are just all brown with the yellow are gross. That's not bad. It's still their worst color scheme they've had. I don't know why they've decided to bring back the late 80s, early 90s in that, but I look forward to them going back to the navy blue, orange, white, and gray because I think that was their best color scheme.
Yeah. So I don't have to. I don't have to get a Venice Beach long sleeve T-shirt or.
I mean, unless you're trying to actually repel the UV rays from the sun, then no.
Okay. They've gotten a bunch of stuff.
It's their first time, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for them, yeah, they need to buy souvenirs. It's their first time. You lived there.
Okay, that's fair. That's what I like to hear because I don't want to feel obligated to buy them because I think there's one Venice Beach hoodie I saw today that I was like, oh, that's.
If you wanted to represent, a trip that the whole family made, sure.
Maybe I'll get something from Vegas.
To me, that's more my style. But
Kelsey says, I'm getting something from Vegas. Yeah, no shit. You've been spending my money all week.
All right, man.
Anyhow, all right. I'm gonna go have a couple bourbons and get ready to drive to Vegas in the morning.
Good luck.
Wait, what?
Hold on, let me go get my phone.
For what? Oh my God. Kids. She thinks she's part of the show now. This is why I like my office where I can close the doors.
You did this.
I know. This is also why if everybody wonders why I'm constantly my camera is off and I'm muted.
Oh, it's blurry. Is that the Squishmallow he got?
I don't know. I don't have a clue. We waited for that. That's the show.
Get the. That's the nightcap. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
Sit.